What am I to do?
Welcome to RazorBranding Podcast with Jackie Russo. To learn more about how to improve your brand, visit brandrusso.com.
Hi, welcome to RazorBranding Podcast. Today, we are celebrating entrepreneurs because it's National Entrepreneur Day. By celebrating entrepreneurs, I'm bringing to you some of our favorites. Now, I have to tell you, a few of the people that we really wanted to talk to today weren't available. So we've scheduled future time for them. So we're going to stretch Entrepreneur Day to be more than just one day. It's going to cover multiple days because we want to make sure we're giving every entrepreneur a chance to tell their story and all of you a chance to learn, listen, and start to live some of these principles. Think about the things we've heard today. You've got business owners who've been in business for just a few years and some all the way for a few decades. And each of them are telling some of the same stories. They're talking about being lifelong learners. They're talking about finding their lane and staying in it. They're talking about the mindset that it takes to be open to the challenges and the time constraints, the nights, the weekends, the pressure. And they're talking about the benefits, the joy that they get from the work that they do, the reward that they get from helping people. At the end of the day, I think that no matter what industry, and there have been so many different ones, no matter the age of the people, and we've run decades difference on that, the stories are all the same. It's about the satisfaction they get from doing the work they do. I've asked a couple of times if people thought that it was you're born or made as an entrepreneur, and every single person has said made. We're self-made. We may be born with certain skill sets or certain abilities, but at the end of the day, to step out and take that risk, that's something that's really challenging. It's tough for people to do, but they're willing to do it. In case you haven't noticed, we started this episode just a little bit late if you're watching it live, and we're doing that to give our next guest a chance to run furiously. I'm thinking, I just have this visual image of him in a full suit and a briefcase sprinting through the streets of Washington, D.C. to get back to his office and jump on and join us. So any minute now, he's going to jump on. In the meantime, I want to remind, and there he is, Dan Regard himself in the flesh.
You know, I don't know that I knew that this was going to be live, but I'm
Did you
happy
not?
to be here. I was going to try to switch places with Will Ferrell or something.
Oh, that would have been fun.
I know.
So much fun.
You saw where they did that?
I did. And I love when people do stuff like that. It is live, Dan. It's National Podcast Day, and we're celebrating it by talking to our favorite entrepreneurs for National Entrepreneur Day.
I love that. Oh, great.
Well, I think you may have a little audio. Let's see if you can get it mixed up. To everybody watching, we usually take care of these things in the green room before, but we'll just get ourselves straight live.
Is this any better, ma'am?
Oh, I believe it is, sir. It's quite a bit better. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, hello, Louisiana. Hello, Jackie.
Hello, Pennsylvania or DC? Where might you be today?
Today, we are a mere stone's throw away from the steps of our nation's capital.
Love that. I love that. So, Dan, we've had the chance today through each of these podcasts and talking to entrepreneurs to hear their story, how they got started. Were they born entrepreneurs or was it made? Did they always know they would start their own companies or did they fall into it, get fired, whatever it might be? So tell us your entrepreneurial journey. How did it begin and how's it going?
I was definitely made into an entrepreneur. My father had a lot of business interests, and when he started having children, he got me and my brothers and my sister all involved in different business ventures. My first business venture was at age 8. My father was also deathly afraid of bees, so he decided to overcome his fear, we would raise bees. So I became a beekeeper at age 8, and I marketed my own honey, Danny's Honey. The classic Red Ryder wagon from house to house through the neighborhood, and I would sell honey. A few years later, my father, who also, in addition to practicing law, had a pecan farm in North Louisiana, went to a convention and brought back some electric pecan cracking machines for me and my brothers. We set up a pecan cracking operation in our hometown, New Iberia, called the Nutcrackers. And I cracked pecans after school and on weekends for several years. From there, I opened up my own software company called the SysOp Shop. I started consulting on accounting systems. In college, I became an advisor on accounting systems, inventory control systems, custom programming. And I think the rest is history. Went on to consulting, big league. It's the same work, just bigger problems.
Right. That's impressive. We had the chance to talk to another entrepreneur earlier today with a similar last name as yours, whose father also started a pecan business. And that fine gentleman now runs Cane River Pecan Company.
I think they just take the C and the O off of his title. He's not the chief nut officer. He's just a nut. Okay.
That
If
is
we
a
get past
fact.
that, yes, I have a taller, less handsome younger brother out there, JD Regard. JD's done amazing things with the family business. My mother ran it for 20 years, um, and had great success. JD brought a whole different level of marketing acumen, his ideas, his enthusiasm, his energy, and the company it is today is much better known, much wider um, purchased, and our distribution is much greater. JD's done wonderful things, and he's enjoying it. And I love to watch people, family aside, when they're involved in business, and you can see the passion come through the way they talk about the world, their competitors, their customers, their employees, their team. You can just tell who really loves what they do, and he clearly loves what he does.
I would agree. And it's great that you brought up passion. A number of people have mentioned that today. And I have this misconception from my youth that the passion people bring to business is the passion for making money. And I learned pretty early on there are lots of different ways you can make money, but you have to have a passion for the work you're doing. Otherwise, the money making part becomes very unrewarding. When did you know that the path you're on now was the right path for you? Or is the jury still out and you're waiting to see?
Um, wow. I think I knew it was the right path for me the first time I had a client come to me with a problem that I actually solved.
Right.
I worked for many years at Deloitte and Touche and other large companies like FTI, LECG, and I was never focused on trying to be the leader or climb up the corporate ladder. I just enjoyed doing the right thing for clients and ended up getting really a lot of discretion that I was granted to do my own decision making. I would say at Deloitte, they didn't even know where I was half the time, and I wasn't a partner. I was further down. They literally didn't know where I was, where I was going, but they didn't care because we were making the right decisions consistently. Not every time,
Right.
but consistently because it was a passion. And I absolutely believe that success follows. I don't know if success is measured in dollars or reputation or loyalty. Um, for me personally, I'm working on projects now that are as challenging professionally as anything I've ever done. I'm in one particular case where I'm actually working as a special master. I am the junior special master. Everyone is many years my senior, many years experientially my senior, and I feel like an intern again. I don't want to downplay my role. I think I'm adding great value, and if any of the litigants are out there, I hope they understand. I'm trying to take a philosophical approach that I'm learning and growing while doing something I deeply care about, which is allowing parties to resolve their disputes in a fair and just way. But it's every bit a curiosity and a passion, and those things motivate. Success wise, I'm very fortunate. Since college, I have not missed a meal, and I'm willing to prove that weight wise. Okay. And as long as we're not missing meals and missing pillows, we really have very little to complain about, Jackie.
So how much does gratitude fit into your process, Dan? Because every time I talk to you, you are a very grateful guy. It's hard to believe that you're sitting at the top of the game like you are. Have you always felt that level of gratitude, or is that something you've developed over time?
Um, Look, I think everything that we do is a learned skill, and I think that gratitude is a learned skill. It comes through exercise, like a muscle. Uh, I think we can always actually aspire to do more, being more appreciative of the people around us. For me personally, when I feel that when I exercise gratitude, it colors the world in more colors. It makes everything look more fun and more exciting. It invites other people to your party. You know, we talk about Louisiana, and we can go and visit. Why do I think Louisiana remains such a strong part of the personality of our company and the things that we do? Um, Louisiana has a great esprit de corps and joie de vivre, and that joie de vivre, that joy of life, I think gets magnified when one looks at the world with gratitude and acknowledges that we're all here together. Everybody's got a role. Some people's roles might seem more crucial than others, but you take away any part of that house of cards and the whole thing falls down. And it's just more fun, Jackie.
I agree, Dan. I agree. Molly Daigle's watching and she says gratitude creates joy.
Really?
That's
Well,
what she
I'll go
says.
for that.
I'm inclined to believe her. She usually knows what she's talking about. Most of the entrepreneurs that we're talking to today have started businesses and have gotten to a certain level of success. You know, they're either newly into it or they're 2 decades in maybe, and they're doing well. But I feel pretty safe to say none of them have risen as high in their industry as you have. I don't think any of them have been multiple time awarded the greatest on the planet at what they do. So, how do you stay hungry and humble while you're sitting such a high perch?
Well, it's been said by people smarter than me, don't read the press. You know, if they're negative on you, it'll take you down. And if they're positive on you, you'll get a false sense of grandeur. That's not how we should define what we do. I think for me personally, it's a continuous quest to improve. I was just talking earlier about this opportunity where I feel like a new doorway's been opened for me for a whole new echelon of professional growth. I feel in the last year alone, I've had 4 or 5 projects that have really allowed us to grow professionally, both individually and as a team. And for me, equal to gratitude and curiosity, that drive to constantly improve on your own high watermark, your own measuring stick. You can't measure your growth against others because you can't control those variables, and it's not fair to yourself or to them. But you can measure yourself against yourself. And at the end of the day, at the end of the year, look back. Did we make progress? If not, what can we do better? Can we play less words with friends and do a little bit more nonfiction business reading? I don't know. Maybe that'll help. Maybe it won't. But we're surrounded by so many areas for learning, and with the internet, such great access to resources and people and mentors and adventures and opportunities. It's an amazing time to be alive, and for me, that's the driving force.
Right. And I think that you've summed it all up right there. And that's a combination of your roots in this community, how you were raised, and the work that you get to do. You touched on it a little bit with the magistrate work that you're doing right now. How else do you continue to be a lifelong learner when you're out teaching others, which I know you do quite a bit of? Where do you still go to gather new information and learn and stay on top of your game?
Well, that's a great question. The question is, I think, better, what's the game right now? Is the game technical competency?
Right.
Because we have so many new technologies emerging that there is nobody who is an expert with 10 years of experience in these technologies.
Right.
They didn't exist 10 years ago. We've been shifting subtly our focus at IDS from, can we hire people who are experts in Office 365 or computer forensics or iPhone forensics or advanced artificial intelligence applied to document management? Instead, we're trying to systematize the method by which one becomes an expert. And our latest rallying cry, if you will, is we want to be the experts at becoming experts. Now, related to your question, that means I'm now much more steeped in the science of change management and education and systems development. How do you develop an educational system? How do you monitor it? How do you deploy it? How do you scale it? Than the subject matter itself. And so for me, that shift alone has opened up a whole new branch of science, a whole new branch of learning, a whole new shelf on the library of reading. And so that really satisfies my curiosity DNA, allows me to learn something new. And for those of you who've hung around me long enough, you know that I delve into these subjects like how to make better French bread, or how to make better barbecue, or how to make better gumbo. And I never reach the pinnacle, but I constantly strive. And this is just one more chapter that we've opened up. How can we learn something new and be impactful at the same time?
Right. We have two questions from viewers. One, as an entrepreneur, when did you feel that you had arrived or felt comfortable in your skin as a business leader? Do you ever?
Uh, the answer is tomorrow. I have not arrived yet.
Still in transit.
It's I, on a serious note. I one day I realized, and part of it is through the very industry you're in, through marketing and branding. One day I realized that we had colors, we had a logo, we had the trappings of a corporate entity, and I felt like we really had a company for the first time. I don't know that I had arrived. I felt more like the team had arrived, and we had reached a invisible goal line, a milestone, and reached critical mass to where the entity starts to have its own reputation, and people are calling. And we actually have customers now, thankfully, who don't even know who I am. And that's the way it should be.
I would say that's a moment of arrival for sure, is when they seek out the
Yeah.
company, not just the leader. Another question from viewers. This is some weirdo named Jonathan Sachs. How do you balance your entrepreneurial drive with the growth and development of others who might not have that same drive or don't yet know they have that drive inside?
It's a team approach, and you don't want the entire team to have the same personality, the same goals. You want them to have the same focus. You want them to have a shared vision. But it would be really bad to have a whole bunch of Yogi Berras on the same baseball team and have one of the greatest catchers of all time and have no pitchers, no batters, no first base players. That would be not a great team, although they would all look similar, right? And I think that was also a learning experience. I don't want to surround myself by me. I got enough me in the mirror. I need diverse talents. I need diverse strengths. For everything I do, I have weaknesses that complement my strengths. And so we try to find the opposites in the people around us. And so I don't need people to have the same drive. I do need people who are competent, smart, and energized, but that's different.
Right.
And we can have a wide range of people in that fit that criteria.
Do you hire first for skills and experience and education or personality and character?
I like to hire for intelligence, honesty, and capability, and
Okay.
then we can build around that.
Um, that makes sense to me. Have y'all been impacted by the Great Resignation? Or do you see it as a time of opportunity to add people to your team who were dissatisfied where they were before?
Well, we're always looking for great talent, and I think we have a lot to offer for people who join us in terms of professional horizons. We have a strong budget for professional growth. We have our annual IDS University for professional growth, and again, IDS has now got the reputation as a place to learn as well as a place to earn. So you can both earn good money and learn a lot. The Great Resignation has not affected us directly. We've definitely seen some employees who've graduated from IDS and gone on to try new challenges. And that's always bittersweet. We love it when our alumni succeed. We hate it when they leave, but we love it when they succeed. And we are finding people who really gravitate to our message of really influencing the intersection of law and technology for a brighter future of dispute resolution through data. Maybe the resignation will affect us, but we're already, though. I think one of the drivers of the Great Resignation is the desire to not be in the office, to be more flexible with one's objectives, times, and assignments. We were already working on a impact basis in terms of how we rank individuals, how we compensate individuals. What is your contribution? Did you meet your goals and objectives? Were you held accountable to your obligations, not accountable to a clock?
Right.
Clock is a part of what we do because we charge many of our services by the hour.
Right.
But we've already had a lot of flexibility built into our workforce prior to COVID. We've expanded that, if anything, during COVID. We still have people who want to be in the office. I want to be in the office. I think that's a better way to build relationships and solve problems. But it's a balance. And as a result of our balancing there, we've not had those great resignations that others have seen. And hopefully we won't.
Fingers crossed. When you think about how outsiders perceive your industry, what do you think that they misunderstand or don't fully realize about what you do and how you do it?
Many people look at the majority of the work we do is e-discovery. That is far from all that we do. We do a lot around information governance, risk management, incident response, investigations. But a lot of what we do is classic e-discovery. And many people, even people who are lawyers at the firms that we call clients, look at e-discovery as a secondary activity that really runs on the side of the main focus of litigation. Almost like depositions, the court reporting is not seen as integral to the strategy, it's seen as a means to an ends. And I would say in e-discovery, that is absolutely not the attitude we take with our projects. We see e-discovery as a strategic way to resolve disputes and a strategic way to gain an advantage in controlling the narrative of any litigation or investigation that's going to be placed in front of a trier of fact or a decision maker. And so we see it as extremely strategic, should be front and center, not an afterthought. And when we've been able to work with our clients in that fashion, we've had spectacular outcomes. We have good outcomes when we're just asked to fulfill an order or a request. But we can create great outcomes when we're at the strategy table with our clients.
I love that. Even though we started late, I still am shocked at how quickly our time has gone by. This was supposed to be about 20 minutes and we're already pushing 22. Luckily, our schedules worked out that we were able to go a little over with you. Dan, when you think back about your entrepreneurial path and the future, how do you think this looks? Do you double what you've done the past 20 years? Do you head in new directions? Do you start new things? Does the technology finally catch up and becomes obsolete? What do you see for your entrepreneurial journey and that of your company moving forward?
Well, we've spent, I believe, 20 years learning what we do. And only in the last 2 or 3 years have we started to take the approach, how do we scale this? How do we create education, onboarding, and replicable systems? So if 50 people can do it well, can 500 do it well? Can 5,000 do it well? And at the same time, we find ourselves at the forefront of a brand new age of evidence, this age of digital transactional data, which actually gives the entire world a new tool to resolve disputes faster and more smartly. And so we find this interesting confluence of we've learned how to scale our expertise, and the world suddenly needs a huge quantity of labor talent with our expertise. So I hope that the next chapter is watching what we do go from 50 to 5,000. And how do we bring these solutions to a much broader collection of individuals, help resolve disputes, help bring justice to those who seek it, and in a very small way, change the world.
I literally could not have said it better myself. Dan, thank you so much for your time and for being the entrepreneur that you are. It is always a pleasure and a joy, and I learn something new every time I talk to you, and I hope everybody watching did as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jackie, and thank you, everybody.
All right, thanks, everybody. Stick around. We've got another entrepreneur coming up and in just a few minutes. See y'all then.
When the day is through.